A group of women took to the streets in the city of Herat in Afghanistan on Saturday, protesting against a Taliban order this week suspending all female students from attending university in the country. Video footage circulating on social media showed Taliban officials using a water cannon to disperse the female protesters. Girls could be seen running from the water cannon and chanting "Cowards" at officials. The Taliban's announcement this week that it was suspending university education for female students was its latest step in an ongoing clampdown on the freedoms of Afghan women. The move came despite the group promising when it returned to power last year that it would honor women's rights. It follows a similar move in March this year that barred girls from returning to secondary schools. Male students in universities across the country have responded to the latest education ban by boycotting their exams in protest. "Education is the duty of men and women," read a statement from the Mirwais Nika Institute of Higher Education in Kandahar issued Saturday. "It is the fundamental right and secret of the country's development and self-reliance." Students had first asked Taliban officials to reverse the ban, but no positive response was given, the school said, adding that dissatisfaction and unhappiness fueled the boycott. One university official told CNN that the students' decision to boycott their admissions exams would lead to classes being put on hold. Under its previous period of rule, the group was notorious for its treatment of women as second-class citizens. After seizing power last year, the group made numerous promises that it would protect the rights of women and girls. But activists say the Taliban have reneged on their word and are steadily chipping away at women's freedoms once again. On Saturday, the group ordered all local and international non-governmental organizations in the country to stop female employees from attending work. Non-compliance would result in the revoking of NGO licenses, an official ministry notice read. A spokesman told CNN the move was due to the non-observation of Islamic dress rules and other laws and regulations of the Islamic Emirate. Afghan women can no longer work in most sectors. Their travel rights have also been severely restricted and access to public spaces significantly curtailed.
Pope condemns power hungry and alludes to Ukraine conflict in Christmas Eve Mass. Pope Francis warned in a solemn Christmas Eve Mass that the level of greed and hunger for power was such that some wanted to consume even their neighbors, in an apparent reference to the war in Ukraine. Francis, celebrating the 10th Christmas of his pontificate, presided over a capacity crowd of about 7,000 in St. Peter's Basilica after several years of restricted attendance because of COVID. About 4,000 other people participated outside in St. Peter's Square on a relatively warm night. As was the case for the past several months, a knee ailment prevented Francis from standing for long periods, delegating a cardinal to be the main celebrant at the altar of the largest church in Christendom. Sitting to the side of the altar for most of the Mass, he spoke of greed and consumption on various levels, asking people to look beyond the consumerism that has packaged the feast, rediscover its meaning, and remember those suffering from war and poverty. Men and women in our world, in their hunger for wealth and power, consume even their neighbors, their brothers and sisters, he said. How many wars have we seen? And in how many places, even today, are human dignity and freedom treated with contempt? Since Russia invaded its neighbor in February, Francis has spoken out against the war at nearly every public event, denouncing what he has called atrocities and unprovoked aggression. As always, the principal victims of this human greed are the weak and the vulnerable, he said. I think above all of the children devoured by war, poverty and injustice. Drawing a parallel between the infant Jesus born in a manger and the poverty of today, the Pope said, in the manger of rejection and discomfort, God makes himself present. He comes there because there we see the problem of our humanity, the indifference produced by the greedy rush to possess and consume. Earlier this month, the Pope urged people to spend less on Christmas celebrations and gifts and send the difference to Ukrainians to help them get through the winter. The Pope marked his 86th birthday last week and, apart from the knee ailment, appears to be in overall good health. On Sunday, he is due to deliver his twice-year, Urbi et Orbi, blessing from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to tens of thousands of people in the square below. Kari Lake's lawsuit over defeat in Arizona governor's race thrown out by judge. A judge has thrown out Republican off her defeat in the to Democrat Katie Hobbs, rejecting her claim that problems with ballot printers at some polling places on Election Day were the result of intentional misconduct. Lake, Wobie just over 17,000 votes, was among the most vocal 2022 Republicans promoting former President Donald Trump's election lies, which she made the centerpiece of her campaign. While most of the other election deniers around the country conceded after losing their races in November, Lake has not. Instead, she asked the judge to either declare her the winner or order a re-vote in Maricopa County. Lawyers for Lake focused on problems with ballot printers at some polling places in Maricopa County, home to more than 60% of Arizona's voters. The defective printers produced ballots that were too light to be read by the on-site tabulators at polling places. Lines backed up in some areas amid the confusion. County officials say everyone had a chance to vote and all ballots were counted, since ballots affected by the printers were taken to more sophisticated counters at the Elections Department headquarters. They are in the process of investigating the root cause of the printer problems. Lake's attorneys also claimed the chain of custody for ballots was broken at an off-site facility, where a contractor scans mail ballots to prepare them for processing. They claim workers at the facility put their own mail ballots into the pile, rather than sending their ballots through normal channels, and also that paperwork documenting the transfer of ballots was missing. The county disputes the claim. Lake faced extremely long odds in her challenge, needing to prove not only that misconduct occurred, but also that it was intended to deny her victory and did in fact result in the wrong woman being declared the winner. Her attorneys pointed to a witness who examined ballots on behalf of her campaign and discovered 14 ballots that had 19-inch images of the ballot printed on 20-inch paper, meaning the ballots wouldn't be read by a tabulator. The witness insisted someone changed those printer configurations, a claim disputed by elections officials. County officials say the ballot images were slightly smaller as a result of a shrink-to-fit feature being selected on a printer by an employee who was looking for solutions to Election Day issues. They say about 1,200 ballots were affected by turning on the feature and that those ballots were duplicated so that they could be read by a tabulator. Ultimately, these ballots were counted, officials said. A person who takes public opinion polls testified on behalf of Lake, claiming technical problems at polling places had disenfranchised enough voters that it would have changed the outcome of the race in Lake's favor. But an expert who was called to testify by election officials said there was no evidence to back up the pollsters' claim that 25,000 to 40,000 people who would normally have voted actually didn't cast ballots as a result of Election Day problems. Thompson had previously dismissed 8 of the 10 claims Lake raised in her lawsuit. Among those were Lake's allegation that Hobbs, in her capacity as Secretary of State, and Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer engaged in censorship by flagging social media posts with election misinformation for possible removal by Twitter. He also dismissed her claims of discrimination against Republicans and that mail-in voting procedures are illegal. Hobbs takes office as governor on January 2nd. Earlier on Friday, another judge dismissed Republican Abraham Hamadea's challenge of results in his race against Democrat Chris Mays for Arizona Attorney General. The court concluded that Hamadeh, who finished 511 votes behind Mays and hasn't conceded the race, didn't prove the errors in vote counting that he had alleged. A court hearing is scheduled for Thursday to present results of recounts in the races for Attorney General, State Superintendent and for a state legislative seat. For more features,